Welcome to the Deeper Into Movies podcast. My name is Stephen T. Hanley. I'm the founder and lead curator of Deeper Into Movies. We are a pop-up cinema based in London and New York. Today on the podcast, I am joined by director and, feature film director and music video director Grant Singer. Grant has been making incredible music videos for so many years. He's worked with Ferraria on all her early music videos. We'll talk about that. He made a beautiful video for Slowdive, the Shoegaze Legends, which me and Grant are both stands for. The Weekend. He did a bunch of Vows, and now he's made his first feature. It's called Reptile. It's an epic crime drama. It's a bit James Ellroy, kind of noir. It's got that big widescreen dark Michael Mann scope. And the cast is ridiculous. It's got Benicio del Toro as the lead, Alicia Silverstone, Justin Timberlake, Eric Bogosian, the GOAT. Ferraria is in it. Michael Pitt is back. Michael is in it. Dominic Lombardozzi from, him from The Wire. Carl Glusman, you may know from Love, the Gaspar Noé film. Anyway, great ensemble cast. Grant and I spoke for an hour. And these are my favorite type of pods. I've said this before. When it's just a long conversation, two people getting to know each other, talking movies, music, and life. And Grant and I had a lot in common. We share a lot of the same taste in music and cinema. So I really had a good time. And I'm super stoked that Reptile is number one in America, and I think it's number 1 or 2 in the UK. And it always gives me hope when everyone's talking about the death of cinema and all that tragic shit, that a great movie from a new director with a real voice and vision, and it's a heavy film. I'm glad things like that can still break through. So go watch Reptile, and here is me and Grant Singer. Hey, buddy.
How are you?
Who's Harold Fields? Is that your real name?
No, that's my my Zoom alias.
Okay. What's the story behind that? Is there any story there, or is that just
Yeah, it's kind of like an inside thing. I love Harold Budd, and I love Todd Field.
Okay, that's an interesting combo.
So yeah,
we had Todd Field on the pod. He was fascinating.
Oh God, I love him.
And I completely ignored the PA was in the chat, like, wrap it up. And I'm like, he's fucking giving me gold about Kubrick. I'm just going to fucking air you out. I'm never a dick to publicists. I kind of respect the junket, but this was just too good, man. He was talking about, I was talking about Kubrick and why he's giving his own theories of why he does so many takes and what he's exploring. And he's got like a photographic memory for all the locations and shoots and lenses and stuff. I couldn't pass it up. So.
Oh yeah, no, that's great.
So let's start at the beginning. What kind of teenager were you? What kind of movies and music were you into?
When I was young, always been into Kubrick, Scorsese, David Lynch, Paul Thomas Anderson. Those are probably like my biggest influences, especially when I was younger. Music, I grew up really My God, what's from? I love the Blood Brothers in high school. Do you know that band, the Blood
Of course,
Brothers?
yeah. I saw them live. I got beat up in the pit. It was those shows
Exactly.
are fucking crazy.
Yeah, those were great. In high school, I used to love the Blood Brothers, Primus, all that stuff. I was actually into experimental music, so like as well. Like I remember in high school, I loved John Cage, and I played bass, and I was really into Jaco Pastorius and Charlie Mingus, and um, always had I guess a very varied um, taste in music. Um, yeah, I mean Stones. I liked it all. How about you?
Um, I had a cool older brother, so I got into when I was about 13. That's when grunge hit. So I
Oh yeah.
got straight into what I had like the whole shoegaze thing, the
Oh
whole
yeah.
UK shoegaze thing from him, like Slowdive and Ride, and then Nirvana, and then you go to Nirvana, you go to Sonic Youth, and
Oh yeah.
um, Henry Rollins was a really big. He was a. I bought his Get in the Van, so I got the whole hardcore history from that, and just kind of jumped off from there. But I always tell people that my brother was great taste in music, like grunge, shoegaze, all that type of stuff. Like John Carpenter soundtracks, he really got me into.
Yeah.
So I was discovering lots of weird soundtracks.
It's funny you say that. So Slowdive, also one of my favorite bands, Sonic Youth, Nine Inch Nails, those were all huge influences of mine. And then crazy moment in my life was a few years ago. I got hit up to do a video for Slowdive, which was like a dream come true
Mm-hmm.
because they were one of my favorite bands growing up. And that was a real sort of full circle moment for me to work with them, and they were just the most beautiful, amazing people ever. But yeah, it seems like we I don't know how old you are, but it seems like we have very similar taste in music and kind of similar generation.
Yeah, I'm 43, so yeah, I grew up in just the right spot for
Yeah,
everything to wash over me. But
yeah.
yeah, I'm so stoked with Slowdive's comeback. It's
Oh
so
my
fucking
God,
strong. They're
I
killing it.
know. I was
They could have totally
I
just played the hits, but they're doing different things, and it just sounds. It sounds like them just like if they continued after Pygmalion or whatever. It kind of just where they left off, but they're still kind of evolving, but sounding like them, if you know what I mean.
well, their music is just so unbelievably breathtaking. Like there are certain artists, everyone has favorite musicians or
Yeah.
artists, but their music holds like a very special place for me. I have like there are certain songs like Ruti. One of their songs is I associate with a very specific moment in my
Mm.
life when I was living in New York, and it's like it takes me back to a very particular place. And this new album, like I love that Andalusia song. Oh my
Yeah.
God, it's so good. And Prayer Remembered. I think that's the title. I was actually just on the freeway. I live in Los Angeles. I was just on the freeway coming back from San Diego on like a midnight at Friday night, one night, like maybe a week or so ago, and bumper to bumper traffic. Like it
Yeah.
must have been a massive car accident in front of me.
Yeah.
The whole freeway shut down. Turn my engine off, and I'm playing the new Slowdive
Yeah.
album as I'm basically in a parking lot at midnight. I forgot. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have to sleep on the freeway at this
Yeah.
point because it's completely shut down. And I'm in the way left lane, and cars are going like 100 miles per hour in the other direction.
Yeah.
And because my car is shut down, the vibrations from the speeding cars is
Yeah.
shaking my car,
Yeah.
playing this like beautifully like hypnotic slow dive music. Is one of the most surreal experiences, especially it was actually the first time I heard the new album. I think it came out that day.
Nice. Yeah.
But anyways, it made me think of that experience. But yeah, I'm so happy for them, and they're great people. And then my good friend Andrew from Drab Majesty just told me he's opening for them on this tour. So I'm going to see them in a couple of weeks when they play LA.
Oh, those guys are sick. I loved that those guys' last record. They were like,
Oh, Drab's great. In
yeah.
fact, I see them. I was in London for a job a few years ago, and we went to some wherever they played in London. We saw them there, and it was they're just the greatest. I love them.
Yeah. What's that track? What's the one with the emptiness, the emptiness? Do you know that track?
Oh, hold on, let me look. Hold on, Drab. And I just did. Here, I'll tell you. Just look at my phone. Is it? Is it? Hold on. I think it's this one. Noise of the Void.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that track's spectacular.
Oh,
It's
that's
so
incredible.
heavy.
My favorite song, maybe in the last 10 years, is Not Just a
Wow.
Name.
Whoa.
That's track 4 from the
Right.
previous album.
Yeah.
Um, oh my God, they're great. They're really good.
That's so funny you said about being on the freeway. I got hit up to do this. There's these guys in New York called Dream Baby Press, and they do this these kind of cool book readings, and they do a thing on Instagram where you write 10 loves and 10 hates. And the one of the ones I put on love was literally after I do a screening, like if I get in the Uber about 11 p.m., just putting on like an ambient record and just looking out the window, driving home. It sounds so cheesy, but it's just so cathartic. And
I know what you mean, and it's funny because, well, here's my question: is it specific to leaving a film, or is it
just kind of like kind of anything when it's that kind of a little bit melancholic, kind of 11 to 1 a.m., leaving a party or a
yeah,
screening, and just to kind of like putting on like an Eno or Harold Budd or Taylor
yeah,
Dupree is one of my go-to guys for. I mean, anything like cranky records like Stars of Lit and shit like that, and just kind of, it's just so therapeutic. Just kind of clear my brain, no vocals, no voices, and
yeah?
just drift away. So good.
So here's my so by the way, there's this band from on Cranky. You just made me think about them that I haven't heard of in a long time. I used to listen to them all the time. They're from New Orleans. Uh, Belong. Do you know that band Belong?
Oh hell yeah, yeah. I'm friends with Joshua Eustace from Telephone Tel Aviv,
Uh-huh.
whose highest recommendation if you haven't heard of
Yeah, I
him. He did my pod music as well for the show, but he plays in Second Woman with the guy from Belong.
oh wow. I've never heard of Second Woman. I gotta check them out.
Second Woman are almost like just real deep kind of Oteka, almost impenetrable kind of
Oh
crazy
wow.
IDM, but yeah, really spectacular. But yeah, it's him and Belong.
Belong, that record, what was it, 2012, 2011, whenever that
Was that October Language? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
it's here, I'll let me just look. This is the out this songs that I love. From it's called Common Era. That
Oh,
song, Oh Fuck, Perfect Life, Make Me Return, Never Came Close. Yeah, I love that record. It says 2011
yeah,
on my phone.
he's great. Yeah.
They're good. But going back to what you said about leaving a movie, so there was this theater here called the ArcLight. I'm not sure if you've heard about it.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
on
yeah.
the best
I love
theater.
those guys.
And
They only do like one trailer, right? No bullshit, no ads or everything. It's like one trailer
yeah,
usually.
it's like I don't remember how maybe 3 trailers, but yeah, it's no longer than 10 minutes of trailers, if that.
Perfect.
And um one of my favorite things to do in the last however many years was just go to a matinee or even a late night. You know, it was kind of like, especially during the week, it wasn't crowded, watch a movie. And I have so many amazing memories. Like I'll never forget when I saw Killing of a Sacred Deer there, like, and not an empty theater, but
Mm.
it wasn't packed. And then you leave and it's just quiet and you get in your car and you just put on music and you just sit with the film. But yeah,
Yeah,
to listen to that makes you feel like what it's almost like a continuation of the cinematic experience of the
yeah,
film.
absolutely.
And I find film to be very meditative, and it almost is like a religion to me. It's like going to church or something where you leave and you're a changed person,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have so many experiences of leaving the arc light, getting in my car, driving home, and it almost like it frames the experience of the film in such an amazing way. And unfortunately, the arc light closed during COVID, and I really hope it opens again because it was just such an amazing place to see movies and to have like an experience that's not like, because when you go now to the AMC or other theaters, it's like going to Coachella. It's like there's just so
Yes.
many people, and it's like a counterpoint to like what it is that you're seeing. Like a movie is like can be a very holistic spiritual experience, and then you walk in the main area and it's just way too many people, and it's almost overwhelmingly like it's just very overwhelming from what you just.
Yeah, it's funny, as a film programmer, everyone's always talking to me about the communal experience of watching a film together. And a part of me loves it for certain movies, but there's a Larry David in me. He's like, man, I like fucking 5 people in the cinema. I like me
Oh
and
yeah.
just 4 other old guys in very, fucking rows and rows between us, big
Yeah.
personal space, and just like get my Coke and popcorn and just have some very quiet time.
Watching a movie can be a very personal experience.
Yes.
Like certain films, especially if a film is very moving, it's like it can be incredibly vulnerable to watch the film. And if you're emotionally moved, and I think the experience watching it can be heightened by not having many people around, because it's like there's nothing inhibiting whatever connection or reaction you're having to what you're seeing. It can
Yeah, it
be,
feels personal, almost like you don't want to share the experience with other people, or almost like when you, like a band when they're small and not many people are into it, almost on the cinematic version of that, where you're just having this special private experience that.
well, it's funny. Yeah. And because I remember watching The Square, the Ruben Östlund movie, at the ArcLight when it came out, and I was obsessed with that movie.
Yeah, I think it's better than
Oh yeah,
Triangle. I love both,
same,
but
same.
yeah.
I love all his work, but that is my favorite of his, and I was laughing so hard. Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm not like this really loud person trying to make. I'm like, I just could not stop laughing because I thought it was just brilliant and masterful, and I could tell that like there were other people in the theater that were just not. It just was kind of not there. Was kind of over their head or whatever. It just wasn't their thing. But it was nice to be almost like one of the few people in that theater that I can just react and not feel like, I'm in, because I don't want to react because I'm surrounded by people who might have a very different reaction to me. But here's my thing about Triangle of Sadness, which I also thought was amazing. I wish I had seen that film not knowing anything about it. Meaning, if I saw that film at Cannes and not seen all the clips from the trailer of like everyone vomiting.
Yeah.
I would have been like, my jaw would be on the floor because I would not expect it. But because I knew what was coming, right? I knew what was thing. It almost, I don't say diminished, but I think it like muted my reaction a little bit. Because I did love that movie. It's one, aside from Tar, it's probably my second favorite film last year. But I didn't know what I didn't know the third act, which is why I think I loved the third act so much once they were on the island.
Really? That was my least, right. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. But also because I didn't know that's where it was going. I had no idea. So it was like the mystery or the unknown is what I was really interested in. I feel like had I seen that film not knowing anything about it, it might be even my favorite of his. I don't know.
I had him on the pod and he said someone described him as Michael Haneke meets Larry David, which is perfect. The argument over the bill was spectacular. That was so real.
Wait, which scene was the argument over the bill?
At the beginning, when the girl's telling Harris telling Harris to pay, and then going back and forth, and then they're having this, and the lift closing while he's trying to argue, and
yeah,
it was almost like a Woody Allen scene with a couple just taken to the absolute extreme.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Mubi. Mubi is a curated streaming platform bringing you the best in cinema. I've been a Mubi subscriber for years, and I love doing this. I'm going to take you through 3 of my favorites from the Mubi UK platform. Here we go. I'm going to dig in. Okay, no brainer. China Girl, 1987 by Abel Ferrara. This is Abel's version of Romeo and Juliet in New York, where an Italian guy falls in love with an Asian girl, star-crossed lovers, via Abel Ferrara in New York in the 80s. Amazing new wave soundtrack. And I'm pretty sure I've heard Abel say in interviews this is his favorite movie he's made. Okay, number 2, Force Majeure by the magnificent Ruben Östlund, who has also been on the pod. So, alright, hear me out. The Square is a masterpiece. I love Triangle of Sadness. This one, I know it's great, but I need to revisit it because Ruben is one of those directors where the more movies you see of him, the more you understand it and his style and what he's doing. And this one I need to redo. And we mentioned Ruben on today's interview. So that's number 2. Okay, you know I love an erotic thriller. And I'm picking Bounds from 1996 by Lily and Lana Wachowski. When I was in college, this was the most stylish, cool movie there was. I remember there's a scene where they like zoom out from the barrel of a gun and keep on zooming and zooming until they're at the back of a room and it's this huge shot. I think I tried for 3 weeks to recreate that shot with a VHS camera in my media class, and everyone was so bored of me. But it's fun when you're young and you're trying to recreate those classic shots. Anyway, Bound. 2 women fall in love, they're neighbors, one of them's boyfriend is a mob boss, and you know what they're trying to do. They're going to try and get the money and get away from the mob life. This was such a cool movie. It's a great noir. Check it out. Okay, those are my 3. Man, I want to keep going. Anyway, here's the good bit. You can watch all of these movies and more for free. Just go to Mubi.com/deeper into movies for 30 days of Mubi for free. Watch the free I recommended and dig in and browse. There's always tons of amazing things to watch, rewatch, and discover. What was the first music video you made? How did you break into shooting videos?
So, went to film school and I was living in New York and I was always like the film guy. I had a lot of friends who were musicians and artists and up and coming bands and stuff like that. And I just started making stuff with my friends. I didn't even think they were videos. I was really just, I don't want to say documenting things, but I was like making like visual counterparts for their music. You know, in fact, the first video I think I did was for my friends in this band called Starred. And they were my two of my best friends. And I started filming us and them. And I think the first real video I did was this video called Call from Paris. It was black and white. I was like, you know, director, cinematographer, AD. I was everything. It was just me and a camera, basically, editor, everything. I just started, and then I just sort of spiraled into a career of like making things for other friends, and then other musicians started taking notice, and then they hired me to do their videos, and next thing you know, I'm a music video director. Really, kind of just a series of doors opened, and then I just walked through them.
How long was the journey? Were you getting budgets from the videos for the beginning, or getting a fee, or?
No, first I was just making stuff with friends. It was like, and then, you know, you get like a $5,000 video, then a $10,000 video, then like a $30,000 video. And then it was like, I started directing music videos in 2011. And then, you know, 2014, I remember the things started to kind of take off in a way. 2012 as well, but 2014 and working with all different, you know, bigger artists like The Weeknd and stuff like that. And
how are you supporting yourself in between? Or were you just a full-time video
Well,
director
no,
for?
I was shooting. So, I mean, I remember 2013, 14, I was shooting like 30 something things a year. So yeah,
Fuck.
you're making money, but they're just smaller projects, you
Yeah.
know? And then yeah, things really took off in 2014, um, where it became, it was just, things just kind of really opened up there, you know?
Did you get a agent? Were you repped or were you?
Yeah, I had different reps and stuff, and throughout, making music videos, and you get signed to different production companies. It's like being a music video commercial director. It's like that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But a lot of the videos I was getting were, I was getting hit up directly from the artists themselves,
Cool.
and then becoming friends with them, and then just, I've always approached making music videos very much like I approached those early things I did with my friends, which is just have a conversation. You just make stuff together, try and remove any of that, the middlemen, whatever that process is of labels, all that stuff, and just have conversations, and you get to make stuff together and have fun, and that's it.
I was rewatching Everything is Embarrassing. Sky's so great in that, man. Her performance, she's
Amazing.
so magnetic, and it almost looks like a 80s Madonna video or something. Just kind of simple backdrops and setups, but singing directly to camera, and just she's so magnetic and just really selling the shit out of it.
You want to know how that video happened?
Yeah, please.
So Sky and I were roommates at the time,
Right.
because we had worked together, and became really good friends, and we were living together in LA, and we already did a video for one of the other songs on the album. And then one day she gets a call from her label, or someone she worked with, saying, "Hey, we're going to release this song as a single. Um, uh, Pitchfork's going to put it on their thing. Everyone loves it. This is going to be a thing. Like, well, we need to shoot a video, and this is like a Tuesday afternoon, and we need the video by Friday." And we were in our living room or kitchen, whatever, we were talking, and she's like, "Well, I'm here with Grant. We'll just shoot something." And we left. We went to like a playground. We went to the rooftop of Capitol Records. We
Yeah.
I just took my camera, zero budget. We just shot at different locations around LA that same day. I cut the video that night, or maybe the next day, and it was out 48 hours later. So, but I look back on that video so fondly, because it's just a documentation of my friendship with Sky, who I obviously
Mm-hmm.
love and adore, was like my sister, who I put in Reptile, which is also kind of a full circle moment, because earlier on in my music video career, I was making stuff with her, and we've always had this amazing friendship. And then day one of Reptile, the first scene we shot was a scene with her and Benicio at this dive bar. It was like 7 a.m., pouring rain. And like, to start my feature film career with this person who I go so far back with, who's always been a supporter, who I've always just loved and had an amazing experience working with, to have her be in that day one of
Beautiful.
principal
Yeah.
photography. A really cool experience for both of us. And then she's doing a scene with Benicio. It was fucking awesome. But yeah, that's how that video came together. Was just like off the cuff and just making stuff with your friends. And I find that that's always, I think that those are the best ones.
Yeah, and I really like you're not the one. We channeling like hunger vibes on that. I was trying to.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, that was sick.
It's funny. I get like, when you mention these old videos, I mean, it's been so long since I've watched them, or
Yeah, I watched them when they first came out, but then going back, there's
yeah.
such a great vibe to those videos, and I completely forgot how magnetic Sky is to the camera when she's.
She has that. She has this real star quality that I think is very rare. And she is just like such a phenomenal, tremendous human being as a person. And yeah, I'm very happy for her and all the things that she's doing.
So how was it moving up to big videos like The Weekend and working with major labels and like.
It was great. It's like, listen, it's very surreal to be a music video director, because there's very few, like who do things, like who do those videos. And it's you just kind of feel grateful, like, oh man, I get to make music videos as my career. That's a pretty cool job. it's the same thing that I did when I was doing smaller videos. Just it's bigger budgets and I think more pressure. I do think like those first few weekend videos, like The Hills, Can't Feel My Face. I remember specifically Can't Feel My Face actually because um, I had done The Hills. People like that video. Abel is The Weeknd's real name, and they had shot a video for Can't Feel My Face, I believe, and for whatever reason they wanted to shoot another one, and I knew this song had already come out. It was a huge hit. Like, I mean, like America, at least, like it was the biggest song in years. And I knew that if I were going to do this video, like there'd be so much pressure, right? To like make that was as good or could live up to the song. And we shot it in one day. It was like an incredibly ambitious schedule for that one day. Obviously, there's practical fire, there's all these different things, there's extras, and you know, I feel like I thrived off of the pressure, and I think that pressure is like even with this movie, it's a similar feeling of like, fuck, this is big. Like I have to really live up to it. You know, it's not like it's different than just like, you know, shooting with like 10 people and you're just making stuff and it's a little bit loose. Like when there's so much pressure to succeed, not just for you, but for like, you know, there's just a lot of preconceived ideas as to how good something should be. I would say that's the biggest difference between doing the smaller things and the bigger things is just there's more pressure.
Yeah, I was wondering for a music video, if someone gives you an absolute banger, like I Can't Feel My Face, how is it for you and your creative brain to come up with a video concept that kind of matches it, or the synchronization of the sound and the vision and stuff? Or what do you do when you get like a writer's block on something like that? Like, I know this song is sick, but I can't fucking see the video or something.
Yeah, I think you're right. You have to conceive something that's gonna feel like it's a match for whatever thing. Basically, at least with Abel, The Weeknd and I, we oftentimes the ideas were collaborations. So like he'd have the genesis of the idea, and then I'd riff on that, or vice versa, or whatever. Can't Feel My Face, that was his concept. He had that idea, and then I kind of like riffed on that, and then brought in Rick Wilder, who's this character who I put in The Hills, but also he was in my RL Pink videos. And we kind of it was a great collaboration where he'd come up with an idea and then, you know, I bring things to it and vice versa. But that concept, the broad concept was his, you know, so it's my job really just to kind of execute it.
What was your toughest videos? Did any of them break you? Or
yeah, they did. I did this video for Skrillex. Actually, maybe one of my favorite videos I've ever done. It's with Anya Taylor-Joy. It's called Red Lips, and it was the same year as I did, you know, a couple of those weekend videos. It was like 2015, I think, and it was just a massive undertaking. Visual effects, practical stuff. It was such art department, like just the amount of just trying to do something that was very ambitious. And it's not that it broke me in a bad way, like my soul was broken, more just like, you know, those were just such ambitious videos. And I think at the time, making music videos was my life. It was my identity. It was how I viewed myself. It was I really wanted to be great at it. And there was just so much going on with that one, and the pressure. We got a lot of money from, you know, some company, whatever, that paid for the video. And, you know, you start to feel like, you know, especially if this is someone else's money, I really I gotta deliver, you know. It's not like the more money, for some reason, at least at the time, I felt like there was more pressure to deliver because you don't want to let other people down.
And what were your favorite videos
growing up?
Yeah, music videos.
Well, I love Mark Romanek. Like, I love Perfect Drug, you know. I love Chris Cunningham's work. He's a good friend of mine.
No way. I used to know him when he was in London. I was a runner in the editing house that he used to edit in.
Oh, cool, man.
And I'd be so fucking awkward, and he'd be editing and I'd loiter and I'm like, hey, do you need tea? Water? fuck, that looks sick. Do you know anything? And just because I'd be so fascinated in his process. And he'd edit in the attic, which is really cool. There's various rooms, and he'd always go to this really dark attic, and I'd be like, just awkwardly popping in and seeing what he's. But the last one I saw, when I snuck into the editing, it was that crazy square pusher alien autopsy video. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, he's the best. I love his stuff, and he's just also an amazing guy. I love David Fincher's videos. Like I love Freedom 90.
That's the slickest. That kind of almost like that flash dance kind of Simpson Bruckheimer kind of aesthetic going on, but just done at Fincher perfection level.
Yeah. I mean, what other videos do you like?
Protection, the Michel Gondry Massive Attack video. I find that really almost sad and haunting when he's going into the different rooms of the block of flats.
Yeah.
And just kind of dropping in all these different lives. I find it really moving. Chris Cunningham's Come On My Selector is just the editing in that is just ridiculous. I really like the Vincent Gallo video he made with Paris Hilton where she's on a rotating table. I think it's just literally one shot of her rotating, different shots of just her rotating on this table. It's almost like a pogo dancing kind of thing, and she's just rotating, and he shot it in like 16 mil. That's really nice. And Springsteen Dancing in the Dark, I really like. I love De Palma. I think it's really funny that he made that video. Well, he made Body Double, which offended everyone so much. His agent was like, let's do something that you can't offend people with. Let me just give you a fucking Springsteen video. No fucking voyeurism. No fucking pervy shit. Just a fucking hit. So he did that, which I really like. But it's funny because I remember I was listening to Gavin Rossdale on an interview, and he was looking back at the MTV days and just said it was fucking insane that the company would give you $500,000 for a music video. You give it to MTV and just hope they're going to play it. There was no contracts or guarantees.
Wow.
And he was just saying it was just like, make it and hope it gets airplay, and hope they don't dump it on MTV2 at 3 a.m. and things like that, which is just unheard of today. You'd be like, when is it dropping? Yeah. When are we getting the premiere? What are we guaranteed? But just a different pre-internet era where it was just like, make it, hope for the best, hope it gets airtime, hope it gains traction, and things like that, which was pretty crazy.
But I think labels were, that was like probably before streaming, so labels were making so much money through record sales that they could afford.
Yeah.
And also, but there's another video I love, which is Soundgarden Black Hole Sun. I remember seeing that as a kid, with all their faces.
Yeah, but great CGI in that video. Really
cool
up.
video. I remember as a kid, I was born in Northridge in the Valley, and I'll never forget being in our garage and watching the Warrant Cherry Pie video and just seeing that like really caustic white and red and those like colors and the lighting and being so like affected by. I mean, I'm 38. I just turned 38. I'm the generation of music videos and MTV. Like I grew up watching all those stuff and like all those videos were like, they were almost my movies, when you were, before you even really got into movies. Like music videos were totally shaped my imagination and how I saw the world. And I remember being like 13 or 12 or however old and just needed to go to Woodstock 99. I had to go. By the way, I also loved Korn when I was like that age.
What was that sick video?
Freak on a Leash, Got the Life.
Yeah. The animation one. Yeah, the Scott McFarlane.
Oh, the anime. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
That was awesome.
That's great. I mean, that was like, I was probably 12 or 13. It's like they were the coolest thing, in music at the time. What did they call that genre of rock? I can't remember. Metal. Like, was new
metal? Yeah.
What's it? Yeah. But there's all these videos that I think it's kind of funny that I became a music video director because I never thought I would. That was never something I envisioned, but it kind of, I guess, serendipitous.
Let's move on to Reptile. But I got to start this cast is fucking insane. You've got so many goats. It's funny because I always say that. I tell this story about Robert Rodriguez. Someone said to him when he was shooting Machete, they were like, "What drew you to it?" And he said, "I had a new camera, and Danny Trejo has a high definition face, and I've got this super sharp camera." And so anytime I see those amazing character actors, like I always say, like Harry Dean Stanton or Shelley Duvall, I'm like, that's a fucking high definition face. And when I saw your movie, I was like, so many fucking high definition faces in this movie. Like Bogosian, Benicio. It was so great. Dominic, all those real character actors.
Yeah. No, great faces for sure.
Yeah. How did this come about?
So Ben and I wrote this script in 2018. Wanted to make a film that evoked this feeling of being deceived. That was a sort of contemporary noir, but was also playful and warm and hopefully unpredictable. And we set up with our producers at Black Label, Molly Smith, Trent, and Dad Luckenbill, and they had worked with Benicio and Sicario. And so we had him in mind for the lead, gave him the script. He responded to it, wanted to meet with me. We had this like hilarious, very fun and like rapid fire question meeting where like he's asking me a million questions and I'm answering them. And it was very much like less even about maybe this, like what we're talking about the movie, but him probably trying to gauge like who I am, you know? And when you're an actor in a movie, it's like the director is, you're so reliant on a director, right? Mm-hmm. To make sure that you're in good hands. So I think that was the meeting where he was trying to get a feel for me. I'm assuming, looking back in hindsight, and he was there with his managers and agent. And then a week or two later, we started working on the script. And he's like, all right, let's meet. And we started developing the project. And, once Benicio's involved in the movie, you get, I think, people start to take you more seriously, other actors.
Yeah.
Right? So in terms of the cast, like, I know we cast Justin shortly thereafter. I had worked with him. I directed his performance for the Biden inauguration. And we really got along very well. And just he's an amazing guy, super talented and thoughtful. And then we just started casting the movie. Michael Pitt, obviously another GOAT in my opinion.
For sure. I missed that guy. How's he doing?
He's great. He's great. It was one, I think I mentioned I'm 38. At the time, like when Michael Pitt was in his heyday, right? Like Last Days, The Dreamers, Funny Games. That was like when I was just coming out, like in film school. I remember actually writing like a 10-page paper on Michael Pitt falling on bended knee to Boyz II Men's On Bended Knee in Last Days. Like I love those movies. Yeah. I love doing. So that's very much my generation. So very surreal to get to work with him. And then also have him opposite Justin Timberlake in these scenes is so like mind-blowing to me because they're so different, but brilliant in different ways. And to have them sort of share these scenes is just really special. But I got to work with really cool people, Alicia, obviously, and Otto, and just phenomenal actors.
My only issue with your movie is you didn't have Alicia and Sky doing scenes together. That would have been just an iconic cinematic universes collide, which is like Clueless and
maybe next one.
Yeah, just give them their own two-hander or something.
Yeah, no, they were great. And honestly, like the way I work is I'm very articulate with the actors what my vision is. So like it's not like I don't like conceal anything and let them kind of find their way. I speak at length about what what the intent of a scene is, or what I'm trying to evoke with this specific moment. Or, what is the feeling? Like I might even play them a piece of music to get them in the feeling of like what I'm trying to capture. And what ended up happening throughout that process was that like we became close, myself and the actors, and I feel like through that, there was like a friendship and a playfulness and a joy to be with on set. And I do feel like that enhanced probably the final product because it was the film can be quite tense and maybe unsettling or unnerving in moments, but like the experience of making it could not have been more different. It was like this very jovial, lighthearted, fun, hilarious set.
And oh, I got to tell you, on speaking of Michael Pitt, I need to share the story. So Michael Pitt, I just interviewed Louis Garrel from The Dreamers, and I was talking about The Dreamers, and I was saying one of my favorite movies, and I started off the interview like a review. I said, "What did you grow up watching?" And obviously Louis Garrel's from this great European art house lineage, and his dad's a famous legendary director. His dad used to date Nico, and all stuff. And he's like, "Well, I grew up watching." He's like, "I'll tell you what my favorite was. What's the movie where the chef is on the boat and the terrorists?" And I was like, "Under Siege?" He's like, "Under Siege. I fucking loved Under Siege." And he was just riffing about his love of Seagal. And I was waiting to go to, when I first saw Godard, it's the Paris New Wave. And he was just riffing so hard on Seagal. And I was like, and I came away and I was like, this is the fucking best interview ever. Louis Garrel talking about Steven Seagal. And I said to the publicist afterwards, because when you do the big junkets, they'll often record for you. Like, they won't let you have the audio in case you say something fucking crazy like you're pro-Trump or something, and they don't want So they'll give you the file afterwards once you're cleared. And I was like, oh, that was wonderful. What a funny interview. And I said, send over the file. And she was like, I didn't record. And I was like, you're fucking kidding me. And she was like, yeah, no, I just didn't click the button. I'm sorry. And so that interview's completely lost. So no one will ever know of Louis Garrel.
At least you can salvage some of it by putting it on this one.
Yeah, this is it. Listeners excuse the bad French accent, but that story had to be documented somehow.
Yeah,
that was just so good. But what's so great with
I love it when people are honest about their influences. Obviously, we all have, and like, of course, everyone loves Bergman and whoever and Bresson, whatever. But like I love, like, I remember that movie Howard the Duck, like, blew my mind when I saw it. Or that movie,
creepy movie, yeah. Howard the Duck is so creepy.
Movies of art, like. And it's like, it's okay to have influences that are also kind of like just of the moment whenever you were like, by the way, Beetlejuice to this day is one of my favorite movies, mind-blowing film. And like, obviously Eraserhead is another like huge movie for me, but like, I think Beetlejuice is a masterpiece. And that's not like to me a guilty pleasure. There's nothing shameful.
No, I don't believe in guilty pleasures.
No, yeah, no, I know, but like, I was just thinking, like, I like it when people are very honest about their influences and not feeling like they have to
flex with like
Criterion Collection. Like just know how film literate you are. Like, I love Carlos Regatas, but I also love like, other filmmakers as well that like may not make as like, I don't want to say artful because that's not the right word, but like, a certain type of prestige cinema, right?
Yeah.
But And what's so great about movies is that there is different. Like you, by the way, you love Harold Budd. I love Harold Budd. But like, if you only had to listen to Harold Budd every minute of your life for 4 years, you'd be like amputated out. Like you'd be like, I need to listen to some pop music. I need to feel good. I need to like feel something propulsive and light. So I think the variety of film is what's so important. You need to have different voices. You need to have different types of movies to keep that balance and make film exciting.
Yeah, have you ever seen that amazing Lou Reed interview where the interviewer is thinks it's the right vibe to be really kind of snarky and cunty with Lou Reed, and he's like, and Lou said something like, I haven't seen any good art recently, and this guy said, yeah, I know, it's all police academy movies, and Lou was like, me and John Cale saw Police Academy. It was great. We needed that on a Tuesday afternoon, and it was just so great. It's like, yeah, that shit's got its place. And every good director totally fucks with mainstream genre stuff. Almost every. Maybe not unless you like really austere, cold-ass Michael Haneke stuff, but most great directors know that But
even, again, I'm not speaking for Michael Haneke, but like what Michael Mann does, right? Like what he does.
Yeah.
And like making a movie like Heat, which I think is just the most tremendous, like, mind-blowing, astounding.
Yeah.
So those types of movies are so hard to make. And I'm not saying making like, a very austere thriller is easier, right?
No.
Or austere drama, like, restrained film. But I would say, I think the Beatles said this, or someone said this, that writing like a really great pop song is much harder.
Absolutely, it's so fucking hard. Yeah,
I think that like even like Jonathan Demme did with Silence of the Lambs, also one of my favorite American directors who I don't think gets the credit nearly that he deserves. And Sidney Lumet, same thing. No, Sidney Lumet does get credit, but still, like that career. I mean, to have so many of, like, in my opinion, the greatest movies of all time that are all so different than one another. But I think that to do that, like to make a movie like Network, to make a movie like Dog Day, to make a movie like Silence of the Lambs and all these other movies, those are so hard to make. Those are just so hard because you're firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
And you're making things. And by the way, that's why I love Hitchcock and that's why I love Fincher, is like they make movies that pretentious assholes can love, but also like if you're like a 10-year-old in Iowa, you still love them. And to make something that is compelling for all walks of life is just, it's so impressive, you know?
How do you feel about Miami Vice? We were literally, me and my friend were just talking about it earlier. He was just saying
the show or the movie?
The movie, the Michael Mann movie.
Yeah. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it's such a trip.
I haven't seen it actually since it came out, so I need to.
Oh, you should go back. It's crazy. He literally, it starts off like he's just cut off the first 15 minutes of the movie and just drops you in midway. Me and my friends, we're talking about that weird mini DV era, almost the DV era of Michael Mann with Collateral and Miami Vice.
2006, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, where it almost looks like TV movie / but it's got a weird grain to it. There's just that weird middle world before we went fully HD.
Yeah.
And it's just got such a weird vibe and aesthetic and look to it, which I think is just so incredible.
Like Tony Scott did stuff at that time. What was that movie he did?
Domino?
The Domino, yeah. Like whenever I think of that era, I think of like the way that film looks. You know, the movie I just rewatched was Manhunter, which is
fucking
so
obsessed with Manhunter.
And it's like that movie. There's such
the soundtrack is so sick.
Oh, and it's incredible. By the way, speaking of soundtracks, I just rewatched Risky Business. Also,
that's my favorite. That's my favorite soundtrack. Love on the Real Train is the best needle drop in a film ever.
And then Noah Baumbach used it in Squid and the Whale.
Remember that? Yeah, with my buddy Owen Klein jerking off in the library. It's a really weird, Risky's so weird because it's just literally a guy calling a hooker and getting involved in a crime. It's such a weird. It's a great take on the kind of almost Ferris Bueller. I'm kind of home alone for a weekend kind of let rip vibe.
And it's also like, to me, that movie is so artful. It's so well made. Almost has like an Altman-esque feel to it. It feels like a dream. There are certain sequences that it's like a dream. And it's such it has this nostalgic feeling for me. Like when I watch it, it evokes an Americana that it's very hard to articulate. But it's like, it feels like a dream. That movie's so good. I think that was that director's first film, if I remember correctly. I think it was.
Yeah, I think that was when David Geffen, just being the mogul, was like, I'm going to get into the film business now. And there's a really great bit in the commentary with Tom Cruise talking about his love of Tangerine Dream, which is really... it's surreal to imagine Tom Cruise is listening to music, period, let alone when he's like, it's so ethereal. It's so ethereal. But he's right, but it's just funny. And also it's fucking crazy for that style of music to be used in a movie, wasn't it? I think Friedkin found them first for Sorcerer.
Right.
But it's even wild booking those type of guys to do your score, you know? It seems like a completely different time that you could get someone like that on board.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I want to ask about Reptile. Where the hell is this set? The decor and the city is so fascinating. It's like not deep south. It doesn't feel like a small town deep south. It's a little bit, it's almost like between the south and like middle America suburbia. It's such a interesting choice. All your living rooms, all your design, all your couches are so particular that it's such a, yeah, what is this place?
So particular, but nowhere. Well, the funny thing is the film is actually, if someone watches it, they'll realize, or not someone watches it, if someone pays close attention, we never say what state we're in.
Right.
We talk East coming from Philly, but it just says Scarborough, but
Right.
there's no mention of any state. And the reason why we did that was because I wanted it to feel like, I didn't want to feel like the story was like location specific, that it like that this kind of story would exist in the Northeast or the South or the Northwest. It's like, it's just Americana. It's just nowhere. It could be anywhere. It's just the idea that like he came from a big city, like Philadelphia, and he went back to this place where his wife's uncle sort of took him in, right, to bring them, to give them a second chance, right, with his job. So it's just Americana. It's anywhere America.
Yeah, it was great because it wasn't specifically that kind of cliche of cop in a small town. It still kind of felt like a city, but
it's like a smaller city.
Yeah. That was an interesting spin on that.
We shot in Georgia and just in Atlanta and outside of Atlanta, which I fucking loved, by the way. And I would happily shoot there over and over again. Great people, great crew. Really funny story about shooting in Atlanta. So I'm from LA. The only two cities I've really lived in are LA and New York, two coastal cities with assholes, right? And I love to go on walks. So after work, or even when we were in pre-production, I'd like leave work for the day, get home late at night. At like 11 o'clock, I'd go on a walk. And sometimes a little bit earlier, but maybe as the sun was going down, but usually late. And I'm on a walk, and all of a sudden, like on my first walk, I noticed everyone is like smiling at me and saying hello. And at first I'm like, do I have something on my face? Why the fuck is everyone smiling at me? And I slowly realized it's like, no, that's just people in Georgia. They just, when you walk by someone, you say hello and you smile. Yeah. And I was like, they're so fucking friendly. And I'm like, my whole life, you just avoid eye contact. You don't, like, imagine if you're walking around New York and you said hello every time you walk by someone. They think you were mentally ill.
Yeah.
But in that part of the country, there's just this affable friendliness that I love. And I was like, oh my God, there's a quality to the people that I really enjoyed. But yes, going back to the location, it could be in anywhere, sort of mid-sized city Americana.
And how is it for you working on, obviously you've worked on so many projects, but feature length, how is the shift for you? How is it stepping into the directing role for a narrative feature?
I mean, in all honesty, it was such a huge leap.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, talking about, your music video career, like, how does that translate to making movies? It's like the equivalent of like playing basketball in the backyard with your family, to getting drafted in the NBA, and you're playing in front of, a packed house, and the stakes are so great. I mean, there's nothing to prepare you, I think, for making a movie. You just got to throw yourself in and do it, and hope for the best. And stick to your vision. But how was that transition? I mean, it was like getting dropped in the ocean, and
what was your toughest scene?
I don't know if there's a toughest scene. I think to me, it's just the consecutive days. It's the, like, my cinematographer, Mike Giolakis, and I really wanted to, I remember, like, obviously you've seen the film. Mm-hmm. I like a very mechanical, razor sharp, precise lens filming the action. And I like there to be a real tightrope connection between the blocking of an actor and the camera filming him. And I wanted to shot list the entire movie. Mm-hmm. Like, it was very important. I want this to be, it was incredibly composed. I wanted to really feel like prepared, so that on the day, if I wanted to change something, I could. We end up just shot listing the first week because we were so like catching our breath, and it was just so much happening all at once. And after that first week, we're like, fuck it, we're just going to wing it. And it's just, there's like no time to think. Like, every hour you're making 250 decisions, right? And you just have to commit to whatever it is that you're seeing. And so it's like, when you ask, like, what's the hardest scene? It's just like a series of like overwhelming moments and decisions that you have to make, and like not feeling like you've even like completely processed what it is you have to do like later the afternoon, and it's just the mental strength that you have to keep all the balls in the air, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily one scene, it's just like the weight of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I would say.
And it was great seeing a softer Benicio than I think I've seen before, which is really nice to see. Less intense, loving taps and faucets in this movie.
Yeah.
It was really nice playing. It was great when he brings out that dark menace when he's telling the guy at the dance to hands off his wife. But for the most part, it was great just seeing a softer, quieter side of him.
Yeah, and the fact that he has all these facets to his personality. I don't think we're used to seeing him with a love interest. Like,
yeah.
in his movies, like I can't remember the last time he had a love interest. And yeah, it's certainly like a sweeter, but certainly not less strong. It just, it's different shades to his character that I think he, inhabited beautifully.
And how's this script writing process between, it's three of you guys, right?
Yeah. So Ben and I wrote the script.
And how is that writing with him? Has he wrote scripts before? Am I missing?
He has great writer, great director. He also came from.
Oh, sorry, I meant Benicio. Sorry,
Benicio. Oh, sorry. I'm sure Benicio has written stuff. Absolutely. I think this might. I again, don't quote me on it because I'm not sure. This might be his first credit as a screenwriter.
Yeah,
but no doubt he's written stuff before for sure, and I'm sure with other directors as well.
Sorry, is it Ben Miller was your other?
Oh, Ben Brewer, yeah.
Brewer, sorry, yeah. So how was it three of you guys in the mix?
Great. It was really great. So Ben and I wrote the the first drafts, and then once Benicio came on board, the script kind of just like evolved, and it was a great process. And Benicio is just like, for me, it's a real, like, for your first movie to get an actor like that, and is a real dream come true. And he brought a lot of like depth to the work, and he's also incredibly passionate as an actor and as a person. And I'm very passionate and enthusiastic, and I respond to that, in collaborators for sure.
And how is it with Eric Bogosian? That's a goat right there.
Funny. He's funny, man. He is fucking funny. He cracks me up. By the way, all the actors have great sense of. By the way, the funny thing is, like, the movie is set anywhere, but all of our actors are from New York. Like, all the New York accents, like Dominic Lombardozzi, J.C. Capone, Eric. I think Otto's from New York. We end up casting all these New York actors to play characters who are not from New York, but they're all great. They were all Eric. Eric is amazing, really smart, brilliant guy. Also a writer, just such a seasoned actor, and he knows exactly what he's doing. You come in, you tell him, great, he's got it. Moving on.
Yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with talk radio. He's incredible.
So good. He's got Eric is you should have him on, because he's got the king of stories, and he'll like tell you a story, and 10 minutes later they're like, all right, lunch is over, and you're like, but he's halfway through. He's a great storyteller.
I've got him on audio CD reading Hollywood Animal. I'm blanking on the guy who wrote Basic Instinct and Showgirls and Joel Esterhaus.
Yeah.
But it's Eric reading. So I've just got these filthy, salacious stories of like 80s coke fueled Hollywood with Eric Bogosian reading through it. It's such a vibe. I'm currently trying to put it onto my iPhone just so I can walk around with that in my head all day. And I gotta say, the fucking creepiest scene I've seen in years, man. No spoilers, when JT is doing the house viewing.
Yeah.
So sinister.
So
big kind of Manson family kind of vibes right there. Yeah. It's chilling.
So that sequence is one of my favorite sequences in the movie. I had to fight for that because, there are scenes in the movie that, like, if you just extracted, you could still tell the story. Like, the story would still be told. But that gives, to me, that's an indictment on our fascination in true crime, right? And
Yeah.
this idea of aging trauma and like the anyway, there's all these. I'm not. I don't want to get overly cerebral right now and intellectual talking about the movie because I just want to like let the viewers watch it and hopefully come up to their own conclusions and have their own subjective experience watching the film. But that is certainly like both narratively one of my favorite sequences and also just in terms of its commentary on how we as a culture process and yeah, just process true crime and our obsession with it and whatever. So that we shot that sequence obviously just in one day, and I'll never forget. Shot that. It was one of those days on set where everything was just like firing on all cylinders, and I just knew we got it. And I remember
Yeah.
leaving with the biggest grin on my face. We probably that was probably the first or second week of shooting. I think the second week of shooting, and I just had I remember leaving set, walking to the car, just smiling ear to ear, being like, we did it. Like whatever it was, whatever I wanted to do, I just fucking nailed it. And that's what it's like, those are those scenes where you're just proud because like, okay, that was my vision and I got it. Right. It's not, you don't always like, oh, you're like, oh, I could have done this better. Do this. It's like, no, that was one of the days where like, whatever I was intending to do, I did it there. So I'm happy that you like that sequence because I love.
Yeah, it was so great when you're not quite sure what the fuck they're doing, and then yet the best.
Thank you.
That and just because we spoke about Michael Mann, there's a fucking amazing shot of Benicio in. He's like in silhouette. I think is he by the sky?
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a shot.
The lake.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. That's it's a beautiful shot. Yeah. So yeah,
kind of giving me William Peterson by the beach and Manhunter kind of vibe.
Yeah,
so I was like, that's a fucking shot right there.
Compliment. That's a huge compliment. Thank you. Yeah. Listen, when you make movies, you just gotta like. I'll be honest. Like, I felt like I think I put so much pressure on myself in this one. My first one, you got to come out of the gate swinging. Like there was so much I wanted to do. But now I will say I feel freer with like my next one. I'm going to approach it, I think, a little bit differently. And I think perhaps be more wild and allow myself to experiment and try things that maybe I was, too rigid in with this one, at least in my, approach and directing. So I appreciate the compliments.
No, this is great because I came in and I'd read the synopsis. I was like, all right, we got a psychological thriller. I love a fucking psychological crime thriller. But it's got so deep and complicated. It completely. Initially, I think it's the investigation and the way it expands, and you got to get that kind of cold 70s feel with which I always love when it's like complicated, flawed characters and there's no real anti-heroes and things like that. And it just gets like deeper and darker, almost like a James Ellroy kind of cold noir where you don't know who the fuck to trust, and it's got deeper and heavier. It was really very ambitious, which I was so stoked.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I the film sort of presents itself in the beginning as like a sort of investigative thriller, film noir. And then something happens halfway, and then it really kind of becomes another movie. You enter this character's head in his inner world, and it gets very paranoid and complicated and perhaps emotional, and you don't know where it's going. And I mean, the movie's called Reptile because first of all, the path of the film is not a straight line, but also because characters introduced as one thing and revealed to be something else. And there's a shedding of skin that occurs. And you got to make things that you believe in, you put out in the world, and then it's all you can do.
Finally, what did you shoot on? It had a great grain to it. What was the film stock?
We shot on Alexa, older lenses, and so there's this process called Film Box that we used. I wanted to shoot on 35. Unfortunately, for various reasons, we couldn't. But our colorist, Michael Hatzer, who's amazing, who was Spielberg's guy, he also did No Country for Old Men. He's just such a brilliant, amazing guy. He and our cinematographer, Mike Giolakis, came up with this process called Film Box, where you shoot the footage and you like it's treated through daily. It's not the end of the process. Like literally
Mhm.
every single this way where it adds the like some of the warmth and some of that sort of tactile quality that you get from film. And I think we might be the first movie ever to have done this process.
Really crazy.
Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I remember Mike and Michael Hatzer saying that this is a new sort of technique, new technology, and it makes the footage look less digital, and it gives it that warmer timelessness, that 70s sort of thickness, that painterly quality that I was certainly looking for. And it ended up being, maybe not 35, but, it was a good substitute.
And what's next? Another feature? Do you think you're over music videos, or is it always going to juggle the two?
Maybe I'll juggle the two. I don't, I'll just see what happens, what comes my way. But yeah, you're gonna make movies. So that's the goal, is just to keep making movies and, see what happens. But yeah, I mean, listen, I'd love to make a music video if someone came up, approached me and I was into it, then, but it's not something that I'm like seeking out.
Who's your dream artist? Do you have any secret wishes
question.
of people you want to do a video
Artist.
for?
Honestly, probably Neil Young, like someone like that, or, the Stones, and, maybe someone who might not be a younger, quote unquote hip artist, but or like I love Bruce Springsteen. I mean, like maybe making music videos for one of my heroes for sure.
Yeah. I made a fan video for Broken Social Scene
Oh, cool.
in my 20s, and I fucking sent it to them. I gave it to the manager. I sent it to the studio because I have no boundaries, and I never heard back. I was so sad. But I emailed, someone put me in contact with Kevin Drew, and I was like, all right, fuck it. 15 years ago, I made a video for you. I never heard back, so here's the Vimeo link from here, and he said he really liked it. But I was trying to mirror like Dirty Boots. That was my dream as a teenager, of like going to a gig and meeting a hot girl and hooking up. So I kind of did my version of that and condensed my 20s into a music video, which I haven't had the balls to watch it back. I found it on my hard drive.
I'd love to see it. Send it over. I want to check it out.
Oh my god! All right, okay, fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna see it.
Yeah, so I did that, but then I just got into program. Well, no, then I used to do films for my friends. My friends were like in a shoegaze band, so I used to do live. I used to make visuals for their live shows and stuff, and then, but now I've officially retired. One video,
Okay,
and that's it.
Well, maybe one day again. You never know. See what life throws at you.
We want to do we've got this idea of doing a Criterion Closet style. Criterion Closet meets What's in My Bag, where we should go to directors' houses and browse their collection. But similar to what you were saying about not we went into Criterion Closet. You're obviously like, Bella Tars, 6 hours vibe. But when
Country Priest,
yeah. But when I go to your house, I'd be like, Buffy the Vampire box set, cool. Next to, Nashville or something like that. So that's
awesome.
That's
cool. You guys should do that. That'll be really fun.
Yeah, just real deep geeky shit is the way forward. This has been so fun talking to you, man. We've got
thank you so much. This was really fun. Thank you for having me.
Cool. And what are you on Spotify or Apple?
I'm on Spotify.
Okay, I'm gonna get even geeky. I want to send you a few ambient jams that I think will be.
Oh yeah, please.
I'll
stuff too.
Please
we'll go back and forth. Okay. Awesome, man. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Take care. Thanks again.
Take care. Thanks. Bye.
Boom. That was me and Grant Singer. Such a nice guy. I had such fun talking to him. That's it from me. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Joshua Eustace for our beautiful music. And quick favor before I go, if you enjoy the pod, like and subscribe. I keep being told The more likes we get, the more subscribes, the higher the pod will go in the search engine. And the bigger the pod, the cooler and bigger the guests we will get. And I always want to keep the pod free, no paywalls, no Patreon. So if you enjoy it, push that button and take us to the next level. Okay, I will speak soon. Bye.